Hey, Chris, you can throw my video up so I don't look off camera. Yeah, that's good. That's that.
We go 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Ducks Unlimited. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
That's right. Back here in Texas, trying to get back to the routine.
Met one of your fans at a bar in Fort Worth this week.
I heard that.
Me and Mom are in the...
No, he's not a fan of mine.
Yes.
He just doesn't like you.
No.
There's a difference.
Yeah. At the Cowboy Channel bar in Fort Worth, and I get me and Mom a drink. I'm supposed to go up there. A friend of mine won some artwork from there at some drawing and wanted me to pick it up. So I'm going to talk to the bar manager, and she's there waiting on her. And this guy looks at me, and I'd ordered a drink, and he looked up at me and he said, "I've heard enough of your horse shit." He said, "Andy can do much better," and turns around and walks out of the bar.
Well,
didn't even stay to have us finish his drink or nothing. So, boy, I don't know what I'd done to piss him off.
I guess it's Dallas. Like I said, that's not a fan of mine. He's not a fan of me. He just doesn't really like you.
He said you can do much better.
Yeah. Well,
with us today from Ole Miss, the girl damn sure didn't go to Memphis State, that's for sure. The curator of the Ducks Unlimited Waterfowl Heritage Museum in Bass Pro at the Pyramid, which I highly recommend, Miss Katie Burke. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm jealous of you.
You're jealous of me? Why are you jealous of me?
I love waterfowl stuff, nostalgia. I love every bit of it. I love museums of all sorts and types, up into Americana music history. I don't care about seeing dinosaur bones and crap like that. What you have with that Canada Goose display is absolutely amazing. How long did that take you to put that together?
So that's actually been, that whole project's probably been about 5 years in the making. And my first time I talked to Tim, Tim Peterson is the owner of that collection. That collection's owned all by one guy. During COVID, like the heat of COVID, like when we were all stuck at home, kind of that. Yeah, we had like a video call with just a couple of us, and it started out small. It was like not going to be this big at first, and then it's turned into a huge project. But about 5 years. It
is impressive walking through that thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of geese. And
Well, it's a Canada Goose deal, so that's what it would be, was Canada Goose. So how often will y'all change that out? In 5 years, you do something else, a year or two? I mean, how's that work?
So in the past, we've changed out sections of the museum, like on a yearly basis. Like we've never changed out the whole thing. So this will be the first time I've changed out everything in the museum. But this will be here for a year and like 4 months, and then I don't know what we're gonna do next. To be determined.
I feel like you do. I feel like you looked at somebody that was like, "Hey, don't tell them what we're doing next." I feel like you know what we're doing next.
Yeah, they have a plan.
You have a plan.
I honestly don't know what we're doing next. I have ideas, but like nothing's really like stuck.
So I
don't know.
This guy's name was Tim Peterson. Is that what you said?
Tim Peterson. Yeah, Tim Peterson. He's from like Massachusetts area. Grew up though in Rochester, Minnesota. That's where the geese.
That's why
that's the missing connection.
Yes, because that was the Silver Lake geese, and they found them at the power plant. And then we've had
right around the corner. Yeah,
we've had 4 or 5 different guides from Rochester over the 30 plus years have worked for us that hunted right there. So how big did he have this all laid out at his house in like a trophy room, or?
So he has an office, which is basically so he has this collection, which is his Canada Goose collection, but it's like not even a quarter of what his Native American art collection is. He has this huge Western art collection. And he has an office. It's basically a museum. So that's like near his home. And when I went, he had it all laid out because we were taking pictures of everything for the book. But I think a lot of it lives in his house, like one of his vacation homes.
So did he reach out to y'all and tell you that he had this collection, or did you put it out there? Hey, and he came through mutual connections with Ducks Unlimited? How did you get in contact with him?
Yeah, so I work pretty closely with the auction firms, with Guyette and Dieter.
Yep.
I'm close friends with John Dieter, and then I also work with the Copley Fine Art Auction Firm, which is Stephen O'Brien and Colin McNair. He actually John Dieter had the idea of doing a book and exhibit with Tim. And so he kind of pulled us together, and he was on that first meeting with us. Because Tim, up until this point, has been extremely private. Like, no one knew he was collecting. No one knew where these geese were. Like, we knew about a lot of these geese, but we didn't know where they were going. Like, they were selling on auctions, but no one but the auction firm knew where they were going. So this was kind of his debut to kind of let everyone know like that he'd been putting this collection together over like the last 40 years.
Mr. Dieter is an amazing. We had him on the podcast a couple years ago. He's so smart about everything.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a really good friend of mine. We do a lot of work together. So.
He's a very
just got knowledge about everything.
Yes, so smart.
But I guess you kind of have to, because you got to kind of know what you're looking at what's coming through these auctions. So I mean, you can't be a dummy and get fleeced.
Yeah, and I like people ask me that all the time about decoys and stuff, and I don't have the years experience as John does, but like the more you do it, man, you do catch on to this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just like you handle decoys, you listen to these guys talk. I mean, that's the main thing is listening to these guys talk about. They know so much, these collectors do, and you do start to pick it up. Like it does, you start picking it up eventually, and just keep with it. Like just keep listening to people, and you will pick it up. But John's been doing it obviously a lot longer, but he's really good, and he's an awesome businessman. He knows what he's doing.
Can you imagine walking in someone's? I would be just blown away walking in someone's office and see all that stuff, because I love the old stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff. I don't have nothing. I'm a poor man collector. But I love when people come in and ask me about the stuff that I have, because a lot of my stuff has personal meaning to it more than just that's a decoy from, the Susquehanna Flats in 1878 or something. I mean, but man, when I saw that collection of things he had, and a lot of the little things are what really impressed me, like the etchings that he had, the drawings. And I took some pictures of that. And then I sit in that chair by the fireplace. I was also worn out from being gone for 14 straight days. But they are, and I sat there in that chair for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and Michelle walked by. She goes, I figured there was a TV in front of you if you sat there. I said, no. I said, I'm looking at that painting because that painting's got a story to it. And
oh, yeah, that Corbin. Yeah, that's a great painting, too.
Yeah, and you make your own story on whatever that painting is, and it was just an amazing collection, that's for sure. And everybody needs to go. First of all, I'm not a big fan of going to big stores. I don't like to shop at all. But the Bass Pro Shops in Memphis is a must if you're driving down the road. You've got to go there and see that if you're a waterfowl hunter. What an amazing
and it's
building.
Like not like a regular store either.
No, not at all.
There's so much more going on. When you say that, though, that's, I think, my favorite part of my job is like, I love being around the objects themselves. And people ask me all the time, do I collect? And I collect some things, not things that people necessarily would expect that I collect. But the thing I love about meeting all the collectors and like going into their homes is their connection with everything and hearing their stories about how they found it, why they like it, like why did they collect exactly what they collect. Like I find the science behind why people choose what they choose to be way more fascinating sometimes than the actual objects. Like I really enjoy that part of it.
Right. When you're like swapping everything out, whenever you're transforming this place into the Canada Goose Museum, do you like have it blackout curtains to where nobody can see what you're doing?
So I did this time. I don't normally, because we only do pieces, and because we are in a Bass Pro Shops, like I have to be kind of friendly to the fact that they're open all the time. Mm-hmm. But because this was such a big turnover, and I kind of wanted a reveal. Like I didn't really want people to see it
coming
because
together.
It's such a drastic change. Yeah, I wanted people to see it once it changed over. So when it was done. So I did this time. I like blocked everything off and kept it for about a month. It took about a month to really change it over.
I didn't. We went there on what night did it open? Friday night.
Well, we had the VIP opening Thursday and then open to the public Friday morning.
Okay, Thursday during the day, we went to the pyramid, and I was like, man, I want to go see the museum because I'd been to it probably 6-7 years ago, and it was all blocked off as a private event. And I was like, son of a gun.
You probably could have just come and like found me.
Well, I wasn't going to do that. But anyways, I was, and I talked to Dave, and David gathered the Canada Goose displays coming out, and it's opening tonight. I said, oh, good deal. And then we went back, and I just absolutely loved that. It was a cool deal. I've been to the one in, not the one in Easton. What's the other one in Maryland or on the Delmar Peninsula?
Ward Museum?
Which one is it? Have to Grace. Have to Grace. I've been there before, and I enjoyed it because a lot of the market hunting and stuff. But that Canada Goose one is the most impressive waterfowl thing I've ever been to in my life, especially if you love the history. That's got to be so much fun. I move shit around in my place all the time because I always get made fun of for being a decorator around here. How long did it? You must have had to move stuff back and forth 1,000 times before you got it exactly the way you wanted it.
So yes, like I'm like super attentive, but like to be fair to Tim, like he really, and this does not happen like as a curator and when you work with a collector, most of the times I'm kind of like just taking over the whole thing, but he had a vision for what that was going to look like. So when he came down for like 4 days and was in there with me, like to 10 to 12 hours a day for 4 days, and he had a vision of what he wanted it to look like. And so we just kind of went through it case by case, and he would kind of tell me what he was thinking, and then we'd set it up, and he'd get it basically laid out, and then I'd have to go through and like tweak everything to make it perfect. But yeah, he really did come in with an idea and like what he was looking to do, which was awesome. Like I wish I could work with people like that all the time. But yeah, I mean, he has a lot of credit for that. So I have to give him a lot of credit for that. He did a really good job.
So what do y'all do? Y'all just get like a couple U-Hauls and U-Haul this crap out?
Yeah. So basically it was a full 18-wheeler. Like this stuff came in, and there was nothing else in the 18-wheeler. It was just this. And it was, I mean, I don't even know. It was like a million of those black and yellow, those black and yellow
tubs
you get from Home Depot.
Yeah.
Like it was all those, and then these big crates from some of the specific decoys, but like custom crates. But yeah, it was a whole 18-wheeler. It took they were kind of terrible actually, but it took us like all morning to get it done. But yeah, it was a lot.
Can you imagine that he's what does he have kids that love his collection stuff like he does?
I don't know. He has kids. He has 2 kids. He has a daughter and a son who are probably like, I would say early 30s. I don't think so. I don't think I know his daughter like has worked in art, like on the museum side of things. Like I think she worked for the museum, Boston Fine Arts Museum, but I don't think so. I think especially for the geese and the decoys, I don't think anybody.
They don't appreciate it like you would think.
I mean, they appreciate it, but they know what it means to him, but they definitely, it's not their thing.
Right. And I understand that, but that's what always would bother me if I had that, is, well, are my grandkids or someone going to appreciate this like I do and want to keep it going, or they just going to unload it and get rid of it, or, because you want to keep a collection like that together forever.
You do, but then, so I have like conflicting feelings about it because a lot of people want to do that. And I would say most people end up, selling it back. And I like that too, because the decoy market, like, hey, like, about the Ducks Unlimited community, right? Like it's like a family, like we all know each other. The event system, everything, everyone kind of knows each other. The decoy side of the world is also like that. It's people go to these shows and these auctions to see their friends. They all know each other. They all talk and communicate. So I like the idea that when people finish with their collection, they send it back out into the market, and then people who are also passionate get a chance to make their own version of the collection. Like Tim Peterson's collection probably will never be the same. Like once he sells it, it will never probably be this Canada Goose collection. But somebody else might take some of those decoys and make something also equally awesome. They might just reinterpret like a different collection. I like when I went into this, I was kind of the opinion I hated the thought of breaking it up and thought it should go to museums. But now that I've met all these people, like it'd be heartbreaking for them not to have that collecting side of it. Like they really are passionate and know each other and have this whole community thing going on.
I read a book years ago, and I wish I could think of the name of it. I have to Google it up. But it was a book about a guy that was collected art. He was a wealthy man, and that was his passion was collecting art. And he didn't collect just art; he collected Van Goghs, and I'm not an art guy. Terry Redland's my artist I know, or Les Cuba. But anyways, this guy collected famous art. But he had a hidden dungeon, like in this big house that he had underneath. And he would go in there for hours and take a bottle of wine and sit and look at his art collection. Never shared it with the world. But had hundreds of millions of dollars in art in this room. And that was just his thing. He would just sit in there for years. But this book talked about collectors. It wasn't just about this guy. It was talking about collectors. And they said there's sports guys that collect stolen sports memorabilia.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I remember this.
And they were the same way, too. They would go to they'd have these rooms, their trophy rooms in their houses. And they would surround themselves with all these collections that they have and just sit and admired it, was in love with these collections. It was really a weird vibe that these people had. They didn't want to share it. Where this gentleman here is sharing his stuff. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to share it.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like when I was in I went to grad school in Philadelphia for museums, and we did this class where we actually went to these private collections, and some of them were like that. Some of them were like, built their own little museum and had these and this basically no one saw them, and then other people would kind of share them. I have found for the most part with decoys, these guys are very happy to share them. Like they want people to share them, to see them, and because I mean, for Tim, this was 40 years of work. Like he worked on this thing for a long time, and he finally thought that he got to the point that he had gotten the collection to a point that he was ready to share it. Like he didn't want to share it before because he didn't think it was at the point like that it was he's kind of a perfectionist, right? So he wanted it to be like impressive before he shared it with everybody. So he wanted to get to a certain point. But yeah, I find most of these decoy guys are pretty happy to share their stuff. But there's always an exception.
Are you happy when Tim is there and shares his ideas with you because now you're not having to draw from like a blank canvas, or is there a side of you that's like, I just really want to do it this way?
Well, it's kind of both probably. Yeah, it makes it way easier for me if he comes in with a vision, right? So I'm not he knows this stuff better than I do. Like this is, again, 40 years of work. He spent a lot of time with it. So he's really thought about how he wants it to be displayed. So that's nice. But then it's my museum, right? Like I know way things look good and look good in it. So did I? Yeah, I changed some things here and there. I mean, little things that I get OCD about, but that's nothing significant. But yeah, for the most part, it's helpful because it takes a lot off my plate.
Yeah, you're not just having to pull something out of thin air.
Yeah, and then I'm not disappointing him either. There's that's a huge part of it. I have to appease him as well. It's his stuff, and I can't misinterpret it for him.
The replica reed decoys that you had that the Inca Indians had, or whoever it was the bundles.
Lovelock cave decoys. Yeah.
What are they called?
Lovelock.
So there's two types. The little geese were Cree twig decoys.
Yes.
So those are the Cree. Yeah. So that's Canada. And the Cree Indians. And then, and those are they're not replicas. They're actually made. You can order, they're modern, but you can order them from that community. Anyone can, I don't know if they're making them now, but I know when we opened the museum, we were looking at getting some, made by them. And then the Lovelock cave ones are from Nevada, which is from they're supposed to be the original ones are in the Smithsonian, but they're the oldest known.
Aren't they 1,000-year-old.
2,500.
1,000 years old, or like it's
2,000.
like between 1,000 and 2,000 years old.
One of my grandsons asked me, we were looking at him, and I can't remember if it was the younger one or the old one. He goes, they didn't even have guns back then. What were they doing with decoys? I said, pretty dang smart kid right there.
You got to get him in close if you're going to throw a rock at him.
I said,
Exactly.
I said, believe it or not, I said, they would swim and grab the geese from the bottom of their legs and pull them under.
Yeah.
No,
Some
I
of
said,
them
yes,
do
they,
that.
I said, yes, they did too. That was some of the ways they had to do them. But
So
they
the-
were
Yeah,
cold. I said, yeah, they didn't have no shin waders on back then, buddy. I promise you.
So,
Yeah, I mean, they could do it too when they were, they didn't have also seasons either. So
yeah,
they could do it.
get them when they don't have flight feathers. And I mean, you know, there's a whole way of getting around that.
Well, the Cree Indians would actually herd them. They herd the decoys, so they would hunt them when they were like when they didn't have flight decoys because they were known to herd their decoys. They're
So,
Canada geese.
Those Cree ones, are those the ones that are just the head? Is that the one that you're talking about?
No,
No.
so those are the Cree ones are like they're like twigs. Whereas
made out
like
of
there's
wood.
the reed ones and these are they're twig decoys, like made out of like really fine twigs. And then the heads, now I don't know exactly where those were. So those are modern. They were made by a guy named Cameron McIntyre out of New Church, Virginia. Cameron's probably one of the best like contemporary decoy carvers out there right now. He's incredible. Tim showed him a picture of those cane heads that Native American communities would use to kill decoy, like to use as decoys. Like basically they'd make a cane head and they'd stick it in the mud and then pull brush around to make the body.
Yeah.
He showed Cameron a picture of him and said, "Hey, I just want 4 in different head positions." And then those are what Cameron came up with like on his own.
I guess I missed the Cree Canada Goose decoys. I didn't see that.
It's little. Yeah, it's
they're
little.
not. They're not real big. They're off on. They're in one of those window blocks, and they're on the left side on the bottom.
I must have missed those because I just Googled a picture of it and I don't remember seeing that. So whenever
They're
you
little, and they're brown. So
Yeah.
like you're looking at all these fancy geese, and they're just little brown decoys. So they're pretty easy to.
whenever you said twig, I went to like the bundles, that the picture of the bundles and then that head stuck in the middle of it. That's what I thought.
No, these
that's
were
what I
like
thought you were
made
talking
out of
about.
like some kind of cane that they would roll up, and they would tie 'em. They would
Twigs.
tie 'em.
Little twigs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean those.
Yeah.
That I think. What are the decoys that are in the cave that were found in Nevada that are so old?
That's
Love
the
lock.
Lovelock cave. Yeah, the Lovelock.
They were
And they're
done the
reed-
same way, right?
Yeah, they're reed with feathers, and they're painted. They're canvas backs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw those replicas.
Yeah,
Now-
and then the originals are at Smithsonian.
Have you seen the originals?
I have not. I don't know if they're on display actually.
So
I have no.
how do museums come to the terms of, okay, we're going to display this or we're not going to display this? You know what I mean?
Great question. So I honestly love that part about working for DU is I don't have to deal with that. But honestly, they have so like museum's job is to like basically be you're kind of like a library, honestly, of objects. So your job is to protect and conserve whatever's in your collection. That is like the job of the curator and the collections manager, and like they are, a host of these objects. So whenever they do exhibits, they just pull from their collection or they borrow from other museums or they do whatever they can to like make the exhibit work. But that doesn't mean everything gets to go on display. So and half the times the majority of the collection is actually on storage and not on display because they just hold so much stuff. Now, and there's a lot of criticism for that, and some museums are trying to like have open storage so you can see what's in the store, like you could see in there. There's not a good answer for like solving that problem. But the nice thing about being with DU, because we're not, we have a museum, we're a conservation organization with a museum. So we just kind of chose when we opened 10 years ago that's not really, we're not going to like hold a lot of stuff. We're going to just we don't really have a hard time borrowing things. So we're just going to borrow stuff from collectors and we will collect things that are DU specific, like to our history. So we don't just collect a lot of general waterfowling history. If we're going to keep something, it's going to be specific to Ducks Limit's history. And we'll either put it on display here at headquarters or at the museum. Because we have stuff on display here.
Right.
And especially more DU specific stuff.
You don't want to go to a museum and go back 5 years later and see the same damn thing. As someone that enjoys going to museums, I mean, if I go
It's a
to
small museum,
right,
yeah,
if you
it's
go
tiny.
to the House of Seven Gables in Salem, you're going to see the same shit 50 years from now that you've seen today, because that's what Seven Gables is. But if I go to a museum, I've never been to Smithsonian. I went to DC, and the Smithsonian was closed the 2 days we were there. I would love to go to the old Air and Space one. I would love to see the old airplanes and stuff.
I like that one. I mean, they have great museums, but yeah, and but they have a huge collection. I mean, and part of that is like they're like preserving that stuff for us, right? Like it's not just about putting it on display, but it's also about making sure the stuff sticks around.
Yes.
So there's a lot to it, but it does kind of suck that you can't see everything. And I mean, when I was like in grad school and I worked at museums, that was totally the best part of my job, was getting to like hang out in all the storage parts of the museum.
And to see all the cool things. We went to the World War II Museum a couple of years ago in New Orleans. That's I highly recommend that to everybody.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome. It is a wonderful, wonderful museum to go to. So what is your favorite? So do you ever get to go, like people call and say, hey, Katie, I've got some stuff I think you would like to display at Ducks Unlimited. Would you like to come see it? Do you get to go look at stuff like that?
Yeah, it does happen. So a lot of times when I go to decoy shows, I talk to people like collectors and stuff about collections. That's kind of basically why I'm there, is to talk to collectors and like see if their collection's a good fit for the museum. Every once in a while, if it works out, like I'll go see some stuff. I'll go to people's houses. It's rare that I do that. For the most part, we just kind of talk about it at the show and then kind of follow up and see if it'll work. You know, timing is huge. Like I had a collection that actually just sold. They offered it was actually at Havre de Grace Museum, and it just sold on through Guy and Dieter. But the timing for that one just wasn't going to work out with Tim's stuff coming. And I like really wanted to have it on. I'm glad Havre de Grace was able to put it up, but and I finished selling this summer, but it just didn't work out. So the timing's huge. But yeah, we just kind of talk, and if it's the right fit, you know, and then sometimes I'll like call people I know who I know that collection, and be like, hey, what do you think about this collection? Do you think this is a good one for me to use? Like, have you seen it? Like, you know, just kind of like make sure and double check. For the most part, people, like, they all know each other. Like all these people, all these collectors know each other for the most part. And if they don't know each other, then the auction people know them because they buy their stuff through them. So they all know the collections really well. So usually kind of go through that. And I try to pick something different. Like I'm not going to do Canada Geese for a while, right? Like we just did it. I mean, they may be Canada Geese in a collection, but I'm not going to do something. I'll do something completely different for a while.
So like when you get something in from the vault, like David told me, every once in a while y'all get something in. It's like, oh heck yeah, we got something really cool here, and y'all send it to Guy and Dieter. Do you ever open are you there when they open the boxes sometimes, going through stuff and like, oh hello?
Yeah. So I'm usually like, if something good's in there, they call me to make sure, because I can like tell them, I can appraise it and stuff. So I can't like officially appraise from DU because it's like conflict of interest, but I can like look at it and go, oh, it's worth about this. Like we don't want to sell that on into the vault. Like you're not going to get that money for it in that audience. So we'll send it to one of the auction guys. But yeah, they'll call me and be like, hey, Katie, come look at this and make sure like this is what we like what we have is what we have.
It just,
we think we have.
It amazes me in today's times when you can get on eBay and stuff, the stuff that people are just like, just box it and send it to Ducks Limited. We don't want it anymore. Or let's just put it in a garage sale or something. Yeah. You know, Papa John was 110 years old. He loved to waterfowl hunt and collected stuff his whole year. I bet, whatever he had was just junk, you know?
You never know, man. Like some stuff, like that's awesome. We have into the vault now, actually, because like we would get a lot of estates and stuff given, and you know, it would be a lot of mostly junk and stuff, and like, or like not junk, but just not super valuable stuff. So we have now an outlet for a lot of these like waterfowl items. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Like the stuff people will give. And then you'll get some weird stuff. Like we got one of my favorite things, and like we don't know what to do with that we have is so Owen Grommy, he's an like a wildlife artist. And we had some stuff from him that was given to us. And when things are given to us in a state, we can't sell it right away. We have to hold on to it for 3 years for insurance purposes. So, and then we can sell it. And in there is like a little tiny painting he did of like his pet dog. And we're just stuck with, like, we don't know what to do with it. Because no, it's not really collectible by any means, but it's just like a little weenie dog painting.
Somebody would probably pay a ton for it. Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we have that by Owen Grommy, and which is like not, all Owen Grommy paintings are like dog painting. They're like Springer Spaniels and stuff like that.
And one weenie dog.
And one weenie dog.
Or the Barney Five autograph picture.
Yeah.
We'll get a lot of too. We'll get a lot of like portraits of random old guys that were like part of an estate, and we're just like kind of stuck with for 3 years.
What happened to Uncle Cletus's picture? Oh, hell, we sent it to Ducks Unlimited with some decoys.
We just sent to Ducks Unlimited.
They'll
have something to do with that.
Yeah, hell, they know what to do with it. They got the best minds on the case.
So you went to school in Philadelphia?
Yeah, for grad school.
Did you get to work with a lot of Revolutionary War stuff?
So I did not, though, because I didn't do. So I worked when I was in Philadelphia. So when you go into museums, you work for free for a while until somebody will hire you. So you do a lot of internships. And I never did, I guess the Athenaeum, which is like a library, that's probably the only Revolutionary War-ish. Oh, it's a little late. I didn't do anything really with that. Though I worked, my job for this, I worked at the Seaport Museum in Philadelphia, the Independent Seaport Museum. And it was basically a boat museum. And they have a working wooden boat shop in their museum. Like they build like old style wooden boats. And when I was leaving, they were building inside the new Revolutionary War Museum that's in Philadelphia. There is like a half-sized, full-size like ship in there. And they were building that ship to go in the museum when I was like last year I was there. Which is pretty cool.
I'm watching the series Franklin right now on Apple TV. Yeah. And man, I'm telling you right now, it is absolutely amazing. But I love history. I want to go fact check some things on it because I've learned a lot, but I don't want to do it until after I finish because I don't want to ruin it and find out something on it. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but like that's always like when you watch, like, okay, you know this, like when you watch people hunt on TV and it drives you insane. Yeah, it's a similar thing. Whenever I see like history stuff or museum stuff, I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so I don't want to fact check it till after I get done because there's some things I've learned about Ben Franklin through watching this series, and I want to know how true they were.
Yeah, but there's a really good bio on him. I can't think who did it.
He was a very, very interesting man. He seems to be kind of a womanizer and a drunk. And,
which is funny because he's not the most attractive fella.
No, but boy, on this show, he's I think Kirk Douglas plays him too.
I think he was a murderer.
Michael Douglas.
Wasn't he a murderer? Didn't they find Ben Franklin's home in Philly or something, and they discovered all these dead bodies underneath it?
We haven't got to that part yet.
Oh, that was George Washington's.
Was it?
But he wasn't a murderer. It was because of like slaves and stuff.
I'm looking that up. Was it George Washington or was it Ben Franklin?
Well, anyways, don't ruin my show for me, Andy. I got one more episode to go, but it's been very, very good.
I doubt they're going to show that part. No, it was Ben Franklin.
It was George Washington, but it wasn't because of murder. It was like more racist kind of.
No, Andy's saying Ben Franklin.
It is. Smithsonian Magazine. Why were there so many skeletons hidden under Ben Franklin's basement during the restoration in the 90s? More than 1,200 pieces of bones surfaced beneath the founding fathers' London home. It was not in Philadelphia. So maybe George Washington had one also.
He would have been
they were excavating it when I was like at the end. It's right by the Liberty Bell was George Washington's, like the first like president's home. It's right. Like they were like going to do this clear floor where you could see into the excavation part of it. Mm-hmm. And they found some people down there.
Well, he would have been
15 people at Ben Franklin's London home, some of whom were children, and they carbon date the bones back to around the time that Ben Franklin owned it.
Well, he would have been a perfect politician today because he lived it up in France on the U.S. dollar.
Yes, he did.
He was quite the partying man. But anyways, it's a very good. I like history, so I really enjoyed it. And I was wondering if you was in Philadelphia, you got to partake on any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was honestly like part of the, I mean, I chose Philadelphia because of all the history there. Like when I was looking at grad schools, because there's not a ton of museum master's programs out there. And but getting to work like at all those places, we had to intern a lot as part of our like we were never able to stay at the same during school. We had like change internships to a new like every semester and stuff. And I got to work at so many different places. Like it was like an unlimited amount of museums to like choose from. And there were some really cool ones that we got to be, and we got to do projects with like separate, like all of our stuff was like we got to actually work with museums to do our projects and stuff. So it was cool.
I'm assuming
really
curator jobs don't come open often because most museums are ran by people that are keepers of the crypt, old people that have been there forever.
Yeah, our like joke is you have to wait for someone to die to get their job.
That's probably pretty damn true, though.
Well, and I mean, like, how many museums are there actually out there that
can afford a curator,
or that you would want to work at as a curator? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a ton of small museums, which I like small museums, but yeah, it's not that many. And then like as many people are graduating, there's not a lot of.
When you walk through most museums, they've got a box out there to put some money into to keep the doors open. They're not really paying a curator a 6-figure salary to take care of this place.
No, we are not making a lot of money. This is a labor of love kind of job.
So we had mentioned, like changing the museum because you don't want to walk in and it be the same thing twice.
Yeah.
The World War II museum in New Orleans, I mean, that's got to be the same. They can't overhaul that, can they?
No.
The same. I mean, they'll do what they'll do in that because, like, I mean, you're never not going to want to learn about like the World War II, and that's what we call, when you go through like, this is super nerdy, but when you go through the World War II museum, it's like we call it a forced timeline. Like you're being marched through the time period of World War II and what happened. So that's called that exhibit style is called a forced time, like a forced march, like a time, which was developed first by the Holocaust Museum, which is Smithsonian. And so that will all stay the same. So what they'll do instead is they'll have special exhibits. So they'll just have like your typical, and they'll have special exhibits on the side.
Gotcha. That makes
Have you been in the World War II Museum in New Orleans?
Yep, I have.
When you get on that train ride and they've got the stuff going on there, you think you realize what it'd been to be an 18-year-old young man. Just graduated high school. This is your senior trip. You're going to fight for your country.
Oh yeah, they do it like that. They're trying to. So you have to go if you go back to DC. You have to go to the Holocaust Museum because that's like the original of this, and they're trying to get you into that emotional state, and that's why they do it that way. And like the reason you're walking for so long in this timeline is so that you get tired. Like they want you to get tired and they want to like overrun your emotions so that you can kind of get that experience. They're kind of manufacturing your emotional experience through that space.
I don't know if I can go to the Holocaust Museum. I would.
Good. Tough.
It would. I don't know if I can handle that. The World War II Museum really bothers me, just because I think I'm older now and I have kids. When you're a young person, things like that don't bother you as much. But when you get older and you're on the backside of life, you realize more. And
you have kids, and all of a sudden you like realize your mortality.
The World War II Museum really, really bothered me to think about those young men that never had a chance to have any life at all, so I can have the life that I have. The Holocaust Museum would kill me.
So like, you go in and you get a card, you get a person, and you can be a kid, you can be an adult, you get a person, and then by the end you go and find out if you lived or died or what happened to you.
Yeah, the Holocaust. I just don't think I can do it. But everybody I know said it's an amazing museum. Everyone has told me that.
The first one, like so, when you're talking about the World War II, so that's the first one to do that. Was the Holocaust Museum.
How long does it take to get through that one?
Like 3 or 4 hours. It's long. Yeah, it's a long.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it's at least 3. It's at least 3 hours.
Oh, that would drain me.
You don't. It doesn't feel like 3 hours. Like it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like 3 hours though. They do a good job.
What could they possibly do for 3 hours to keep you in there? I mean, because the story is so terrible.
I would say. I mean, yeah. I mean, you do the whole thing. Like you're talking like you get on the train, at World War II. So you do a similar thing. Like it starts with like the very beginnings of like the Nazis coming into France. Like it's the very beginnings of the war, and then you slowly go through.
So it's telling more than just the Holocaust. It's telling the story of World War II and the Jews at the same time.
It's like the whole story that they like went through. Mm-hmm.
That would be very interesting.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just
fun, but it's good.
Right.
No, but I was just thinking of Auschwitz, from the time you go in the gate till the time you're gone, and I thought, shit, that's terrible.
No, it's way before that. But yeah, I always recommend, I was like, tell people to go do it. I was like, go do it. Then go to like the Air and Space Museum next, maybe get a drink, like do something, like, cause it's you're pretty depressed when you leave that place.
Yeah, I wanted to do Air and Space is on mine, and I always wanted to go to the Museum of Natural History in New York. I've always wanted to see it.
It's awesome.
Which one has a T-Rex?
The cool thing about being in Philadelphia is we were so close to everything.
Yeah.
So we got to go as like museum nerds. We just like would go see museums all the time.
So how did you get into this line of work? Were you always interested in like history and artifacts?
So yeah, that's a good question. So I was always an artsy kid growing up. So I took I actually like painting and drawing and stuff. So I went to Ole Miss as a fine arts major and like quickly realized like within, I don't know, like a few weeks, I was like, oh no, I'm not that good. These people are really good. They're going to be fine. I'm just good. So I was like, I probably shouldn't be an artist. So I didn't know what to do then. And like, I really liked my art history classes, and I took history classes as well because I always liked art history and history. And so my parents made me do another major and then, to have a job. And then I came back and I didn't like that. So I actually went to the career counselor and I was like, hey, this is what I like, but I don't want to teach. And then she was like, have you thought about museums? I was like, can you do that? And she's like, yeah. So then I started interning at like the college museum, and then just never looked back. So that was kind of it.
And like as a curator, you kind of get to add your own artistic flair. You get to use your artistic ability, and it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And then there's like the thing, I guess I didn't really, and I grew up in Mississippi hunting and everything in the Delta. And like on Saturdays and stuff, my dad would like ask me if we want to go look for ducks. And so we'd get in the truck and we'd ride around all day, like mostly just talking to people. So we'd stop and talk to some, random farmer. And I always liked talking to older people. Like I was the kid who would go to we were the only kids in our neighborhood, and I'd go to we'd have go like grandparents. So it was exciting when their grandkids visit, but I would still go to the grandparents' house and like sit there and hang out and like ask them about their lives. So I always loved stories and people's stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the thing that I like most about museums and artifacts and stuff is I like the story behind everything.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy, like whenever you hold like this old artifact in your hand or you're seeing it and just the history behind it.
It is crazy. Like, I mean, and then sometimes it's super nerve-wracking, but I mean, talking about World War II, when I was at the Seaport Museum, one of the first jobs they gave me, like real curator, like collections manager, like a lot of times before you become a curator, you're a collections manager or a registrar. They have two different names for it, but I had this like hourly job where they were moving this warehouse out, and we had to catalog everything because they had to get rid of the warehouse and move everything back in the museum. And we were walking through it, and we found like a Nazi flag in there, and we're like, "Whoa, where did this come from? And why do we have it?" And then it's signed, but it was signed by all the American soldiers that found it, like a whole platoon, like signed it and drew all over it. After they collected it after they had like raided, like the Nazis had taken over this house in Germany, like this fancy like mansion, and when they took over, they occupied it. They took the flag down, and all the American soldiers signed all over it.
Wow.
And that was just, I mean, it's just really cool to think like you're holding something that was used for something so evil, but then the American soldiers had such joy in like destroying it
Right.
at the same time. Like it's just a really neat that something could have two meanings. Like it can be bad and then also weirdly be good, and that like it held such excitement for these people to take that from them.
Right. Yeah. I've talked about this story on the podcast before, but I was turkey hunting a few years ago in Tennessee, and one of the places that we walked over was an old Civil War skirmish line that they'd built out of all these stones and everything. And I just stood there thinking, you know, how crazy it is to be standing in the exact spot where a battle where guys lost their life on either side of this skirmish line, and I'm standing on top of it right now. So it gave me goosebumps whenever I was standing on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Like, and I think about that too, like just turkey hunting, you know, you always come across like, you know, like daffodils and dandelions and stuff like, and you know, like there's a house there because there's daffodils there. So at some point someone lived there because you have to plant them. I always think about that. Like my dad used to point those out to me all the time as a kid. I'm like, oh yeah, someone lived back here. And like they have their whole life and stories and what that was like. And it's kind of neat to think, yeah, we're just so small, right? As a, like you individually is so small, and that's always kind of, I find that really neat about objects is when you hold them and they've been through all these people's hands and told all these stories, and it kind of makes you put yourself in the right perspective.
Yeah. Like don't get too high and mighty on yourself. Like you're gonna come and go a lot quicker than you think.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the way I get that way with like well, you've got that in the Canada Goose Museum. You've got the not outfits, but hunting gear that people would wear from different like generations and different eras. And, you know, you got the old timey crap that probably wasn't very good, but it stood the test of time, and now it's in a museum. And then it progresses to today's technology and today's wader system and everything. And yeah, everything up there tells a story. So that's what I hope to leave behind to my kids. Is I hope they look at all my hunting stuff and is like, yeah, dad used this or granddad used this.
Yeah, no, it's cool stuff. And I like that about the decoys too, because like the thing I love about the decoys more than anything is, and there's a couple decoys in there that were made for the mantle. Like there's a few like that. But for the most part, all these decoys were made, they're useful items. They're made to hunt with. Many of them had been hunted over. Like you can see the shot in them. They're sitting on a mantle now and inside a museum, but that was not the maker's original intent. They were made to hunt. They were made to bring in geese and hunt geese.
It was a tool.
It was a tool.
I mean, that was part.
And now that we've now turned into art, but it was a tool. They probably would think we're crazy calling it art.
Put that some bitch out in the field. Right. That's what it was for.
Yeah. The old man, and like all artists, the guy who carved those decoys are worth a ton of money. Probably died penniless with nothing. He carved that so he could feed his family.
Well, and we say this all the time, like in decoys, but so many decoys, when plastics came out, the decoy became firewood. Like,
yes,
they don't have a lot of money, so they're like, well, I got this wooden decoy, I don't need it anymore. Let's just throw it in the furnace. Like that's what a lot of them turned into, which is kind of scary to think about. And there's a story in there about the Schneider geese, the ice geese there on the cover of the book. And I always love it. Those ice geese were made for a collector named Michael Voorhees. He was part of one of the big camps around Peoria, Illinois, and he commissioned a lot of decoys and stuff. So he had a pretty good collection. And he commissioned this rig of those ice geese. It was like 2 floaters and about maybe 10, I think it's 11 to 12 total geese and about 10 standing. And it took like Schneider put a lot of effort into these geese. They're laminated. They have really good detail paint work. Like he put a lot of work. It took him longer to make these geese. So when Michael Voorhees went to go pick them up, Schneider was like, it'll be $75 for the rig. And he like threw a fit. He was like, absolutely not. I'm not paying $75 for those. And so he left. And those geese sat in a barn for years before someone found them. One of them, I think, the floater was hunted over by his son. But they all just sat in a barn for years. And I think one went on auction last spring in Chicago and sold for over $300,000.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Like he wouldn't pay $75 for the whole
for that.
thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
What year? What time frame was that year wise?
That had to be. I mean, it was later, so I think it's like if I get this, somewhere between 1920 and 40. I can't remember exactly the date for that, but it's between. I think those geese are probably like 1930, 1940.
So the Depression days. That was another thing that was interesting.
$55 was a lot of money.
Yeah, that was 2
But
weeks' wages.
But this guy had a big collection. Like
Right.
he was not like, he wasn't. He could have paid $75.
That was another interesting spin that y'all took on in this museum was the Dust Bowl days and the Depression days. I was not expecting that whenever I walked into the Canada Goose Museum.
Yeah. So that's a huge part of our story, right? That's like the EU story. Yeah. So that's why that's in there.
Yeah.
But most of the decoys, the main decoys were made kind of between like 1890 to 1940. Like that's where all the wooden decoys are from. 1940, you're even getting a little late. Like that's the majority of them, like the great ones were made in those eras.
Pre-World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because the plastics come out in like the 50s, 60s. So yeah, that's when all that.
We have an old timer here that passed away 10, 15 years ago. He's one of my old farmers that I farmed on I hunted his land. A good old guy, and he was a good friend of our family. And he was in World War II, but he told my dad that he was hunting on a lake down by this little town south of here on one of the Playa Lakes on December 7th, 1941. And he came home from shooting some ducks that morning, walked home, got home, and it was on the radio that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor.
That's crazy.
But he was duck hunting at that time, and I've thought so many times, I wonder what he was hunting over. I mean, the gun, the decoys, I mean, I would just love to know what, in 1941, someone out here was using for was he just pass shooting or was he actually duck hunting with decoys? And
I mean, he probably was hunting with, I would say, like they had factory birds then, so you'd have Masons and Dodge decoy, like that they'd have sold. Like Masons were sold out of like Sears and Roebuck.
Right. And that's probably what he was hunting over.
Mm-hmm. Because you're in Texas, so
there wasn't no carvers here.
Yeah, that's one of the best stories that is in the book. Like it's not covered in the exhibit because there's no like central flyaway decoys. Like there's like none. You can find like silhouettes and stuff, but same with the West Coast. There's very few West Coast decoys, but there's like zero central flyaway decoys. And but there's a really great story about hunting in South Texas, hunting Canada geese like early. And then they go away, but there are some really cool stories in that book about like hunting and Canada geese in Texas.
Yeah, the area around Katy, Texas, which becomes synonymous with goose hunting in the 70s and 60s, that was a big Canada goose flyway in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Than that too. This is earlier. It's like crazy. Mark talks about it better than I do, but he has a story like this is like early. I think it's all in the 40s and 50s. They even saw some down there.
Yeah, they hunted them a lot. I've got a book around here somewhere, and it's Waterfowl History of Texas, and it's G.K. Chambers was selling them.
Yeah. So that's Gary Chambers.
Gary Chambers, yes.
Yeah.
And Gary has the book, and anyways, in that book, it shows them hunting around the El Campo and stuff area, shooting Canada geese in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. But that was a big area back then. And even in southern Louisiana, they used to kill a lot of Canada geese.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, there's because we used one of the pictures from Gary's book. There's like that Model T Ford picture, and there's like Canada geese hanging from it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I haven't seen. I used to see Gary online a lot. I haven't. I wonder if he's still with us.
He is. He actually came to the opening.
Okay.
He brought dogs to the opening. He asked if he could bring his dogs. I was like, well, I mean,
very nice man, very nice gentleman.
I didn't get to look at the book. There were like 3 people looking at the book, and I didn't. We were about to leave and make the trek home. That was the one thing that I didn't get to do when I was there. Was
we can fix that.
Yeah. But I was gonna scope out the book, but there were several people looking at it, and I was like, oh, we got a 9-hour drive, so.
Yeah, Mark Petrie wrote it. He's a biologist for DU out of Washington State, and he's been with DU for like 30 years. But it's awesome. He did a really good job. It's not your typical like decoy book. It's kind of like the hunting history, the conservation history, and the decoy history all in one. And he did a really good job. It's like really, I've read it more times than I can say, but it's very easy to read, and like because I helped edit it, but it's really easy to read. And he does these fiction parts in the book where he does like the historical fiction sections of like putting Canada geese in U.S. history and like how people would have seen them at that time, which is really cool. But yeah, he did a really good job.
So back to museums. What is the most impressive museum that we have here in America?
That's tough.
If you okay, well, give me the top 3. Like, if you were going to tell somebody, I am not a museum goer, but I got kids and I need to start educating them. Give me your top 3.
Okay. That's so tough. Okay, let me think here for a second. My favorite museums. These are just the ones I've been to.
Yeah.
There are plenty of ones that I have not been to that are on my like list of things to do. I would say in New York, probably the one people never think about is the Math Museum in Museum of Mathematics, I think is what it's called in New York, with kids, because it's basically like it's like a children's museum almost, like you're doing math with your body. It's very fun. That's really cool and really different. Philadelphia, the Mutter Museum is probably one of my favorites. It's pretty creepy though. It's talk about weird collections. Dr. Mutter like collected weird specimens.
Oh, I'd dig that.
It's like 2-headed twins in glass bottles.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah, it's really weird and very cool and very specific.
And where's that at?
Philly.
That's
Philly?
in Philadelphia.
Okay.
The Mutter or the Mutter. It's Mutter.
Yeah.
And so the Math Museum, the Mutter Museum, and let's see. Art museum wise, my favorite art museum is the Barnes in Philadelphia. This is another good collection like museum. So the Barnes, this is like your Van Goghs and Manets and all that stuff. But when he collected his collection, he like built his house out around his collection.
Oh.
So not only is it like one of the better art collections in the United States, but it's also like when it comes to design and architecture, he like planned it out specific, like every room is laid out to a T. Like, and it's not just art. Like he'll have like random old like farming tools that he also collected, and he has everything laid. Like in the museum right now with the Canada Goose, everything's kind of laid out perfectly.
Right.
That's how his whole house is. Like he did this whole thing, and they have it recreated in at the Barnes, and that's his whole thing. That's probably one of my favorites.
That's how I am with my TV in my house. I plan out everything around where the TV goes. He's more sophisticated.
He even planned like the way the molding works around the artwork.
Wow.
Like it's very like everything's perfect.
Have you ever been? Have you been to the Whaley Museum in Nantucket?
I have not.
I haven't either. That's one place I want to go
every year, and it's on my list because my in-laws live on Cape Cod. But the thing about Cape Cod people, look, I don't know what it is, but they don't want to go to Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. They like think it's like going overseas by boat. Like I don't know what it is, but they like every time I mention going to Nantucket, they just look at me like I'm crazy.
It's a chore. It's a chore.
Yeah.
So the people on Cape Cod do not like to go over to the liberal bastion of Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. It's like
they will not. They don't want to go.
I'm going to ask. You don't have to answer this. Where do your in-laws live on Cape Cod? Because I love Cape Cod.
So they live. Okay, without actually saying where they live.
Yeah.
They live. So it's like it's an arm.
Right.
They live in the bicep.
Like Chatham area.
Yeah. No, other side.
Okay.
So Chatham's like on the bottom of the bicep,
okay,
and they're on the side, like Dennis area.
I've stayed in Dennisport. We stayed there about 2 years ago. Me and Michelle stayed for a week there. I like Dennisport. There's
Flower Beach.
There's a cool little museum there, or not a museum. There's a cool little store. A guy's got like a weird a mailbox deal that he's got. It's for sale right there by his little antique store because we always go in there.
Cool antique store right there.
Yeah, it really is cool. Have you,
Captain Frosties is.
So you've been to Newport, Rhode Island, then I'm assuming many times.
I have not.
You've not. You need to go to the. You need to go to the Breakers.
I've been around it. Yeah, I've been around it, but not to it.
You need to go to the Breakers and see the houses. The old Vanderbilt home is amazing there.
Yeah, I need to go because I watch Gilded Age.
I love that show. Did you watch the new one last night?
No, don't tell me about it.
It's great. That's a great series. That's based on the Vanderbilts.
So I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I watched the new one came out last night. That's a really good series. But I love the Cape, and but going to Nantucket to the Whaley Museum is one of the places that I've always wanted to go to.
That's one of the ones. And then there's some really cool ones on the West Coast that I've really wanted to go to. Like there's some cool technology museums that are really like interesting. There's a bunch of museums that I'd go to, but yeah, I've mostly the East Coast, but there's some great ones. Like I haven't gone to museum conference in a while, but when we would go to museum conference, there's like a conference where you learn about being in museums. But they always do them at locations that have really cool museums. Denver has really great museums too, randomly. It's oddly like their history museum is really good.
Would not have thought that about Denver.
Yeah. They have a really good museum program, like master's program there, and that kind of feeds into all of their museums. So, because I looked at it for school, and they have really good museums actually in Denver.
I like, and we tour a lot of times when we go to, anytime we travel somewhere, when there's old homes, we'll take a tour of old houses and stuff. And in Astoria, Oregon, there's a house we went into. And if you notice, any place you live along the sea that's an old antique, in the Northeast and even the Northwest, the biggest home in town is either the funeral home or the ship's captain's house.
Yeah.
And it's the old captain's
cool
house.
Thing about Cape Cod is they have those little things on I can't remember what they're on the doors to know if they were captains.
Yeah, and that's the way it is. In Astoria, Oregon, there's a beautiful home that we got to tour, and it's right by all the Goonie bullshit, but there's an actual cool place to go to, and it's the old ship's house, captain's house, right there on the Columbia River, that's in another amazing town.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done much of the stuff out there, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff about this.
What's crazy
I
is
like taking my kids now too, which is fun.
What's that?
I like taking my kids now, and like doing it with them and letting because I'll take them to stuff they probably they don't necessarily, they're too young to really understand, but I don't know. I like taking. I want to go, so I make them go with me. So
one day they'll look back on it and
figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. What's crazy is all the stuff that we do have now. It's crazy to think all the stuff that's been lost.
Oh yeah,
thrown away, burned, destroyed, or whatever.
I think about that a lot. I mean, there's so many stories, especially with decoys, because they were tools that, there's so many stories about like, the day plastics came out, like there was bonfires of them and using them in the, to, heat their homes and stuff. There's so many decoys that we've lost. And things that we just they weren't considered. Well, even now, with Ducks Unlimited and having this museum for 10 years, Ducks Unlimited now we're starting to have a collection, but we did not have a collection until Johnny Morris was like, hey, do you want to have a museum? Because we never even thought people would care about our history. It never occurred to Ducks Unlimited as an organization that people would be interested in our history. Yeah. So we didn't save it. We just sold it all for conservation. And now we're like, oh, well, maybe we should have kept some.
Whoops. Should have been doing this 50 years ago.
So yeah, if anyone has anything, we are willing to take it.
It's another thing. What makes duck hunters stand out from other hunters is the tools. Like to deer hunt, you need a rifle.
Oh, we got shit everywhere.
Well, it's also extremely American. It's not.
Yes.
They didn't do this They didn't do this in Europe the way we do it. They don't have calls. They don't have decoys the way we have decoys. It's a very American thing. The way we waterfowl.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's 100%. It's 100% true. Where's the T-Rex at? That was going to be. Is that the Smithsonian?
Yeah.
That would be. Which one is that? Which Smithsonian is it though? There's I didn't.
Well, they have one in New York. They have it at the National History Museum in New York. There's a big one there.
Yeah, that's one. That's one of the museums I would like to go to.
You want to see the T-Rex?
Awesome.
I don't care about seeing no T-Rex. I mean, I would not see it, but
the room that no one goes to, but it's one of my favorite rooms in the Natural History Museum in New York, is the geology room. The geology room is super cool. And no one thinks it's cool, but it's really cool.
What makes it cool? That's what I'm waiting for you to tell us. What makes it cool?
It talks it through how old the Earth is, and they have all these samples and stuff, and you go through it's just, you have to go experience it. It's super nerdy, but it's really cool.
I'm going to take your word for this because I don't know about that one. There's a lot of things that I want to say. I will go do it now. I want to go to it anyways, and I will go there just for you. And I'm going to think, I walked through there, and Katie was right. Or I'm going to be like, Katie's lost her flipping mind. There's no way. But I would like to see it. Just I want to go to there so bad and see everything. But like the dinosaurs, I don't care about the dinosaurs, but it's kind of like the Egyptian stuff. King Tut, I don't want to go see none of that. That just does not interest me at all.
Well, the dinosaurs are cool because they're just so big, right? Like, yeah, you see them on TV and stuff, but you don't really feel it until you stand under them. How big they are. Like,
and I feel like, like I said, I got kids, so I think the kids would enjoy the dinosaur part of it.
It was just at Jurassic Park at Universal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what they need. It's all fun. It's all history, kids.
Washington, D.C., I would love to go again just to go to the Smithsonian. I was really disappointed. And it's not something you can just go to for a day. And I think they're free too, aren't they?
They are. Everything's free there. The only thing that's not free, actually, talking about my favorite museums that it's not free is the Newseum, like new as in the news. It's in D.C. It's like NEWSEUM. It's one of the coolest museums I've been to. It's all about the history of the news. And they have like really cool stuff there. When I was there, they had like the news antenna from the World Trade, like the two towers. They had they have all these like big news stories you've heard like your whole life. They have objects from them. And then they have a room that they change every day. So depending on the date, they pick, it's a paper from like every major paper across the country. They pick like the cover of a day, that day in history. You go through and you pull them out and you can see like what happened in these different places on that day and like what they had on their what they had on the front page of their newspaper.
That would
cool.
interest me a lot. It's
a really cool museum. That
would be really cool.
Yeah, so, I forgot about that one. That one's awesome.
One thing
they had the Berlin Wall there when I was there. I don't think it was temporary, but they had part of the Berlin Wall, like a full the whole room.
Where's Berlin Wall? There's a bar somewhere that's got part of the Berlin Wall in the bathroom.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It may be in Key West.
It's a lot of wall.
Yeah. So, I did the Mafia Museum in Vegas, and where they had the St. Valentine's Massacre, they've got part of that brick wall there, and I thought that was pretty cool. You can see the bullet holes and everything.
Yeah. They also, I keep thinking of new ones. At Philadelphia, I have Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, I've been there. Amazing.
That place is amazing.
Yeah, audio. The crazy part is when you're on the outside, it just looks like a fortress. When you get on the inside, they've dug it down so much because the walls are 16 foot tall. On the outside, it's like a 10-foot wall. But that is a really cool place. And I've told many people that, and they're like, never heard of it. So you need to
no one
go.
ever hears of it. And like, it's really, and man, is it like, it had been awful in there because it's cold and damp in the winter.
Well, it's
and
prison.
Then,
it's not supposed to be
humid. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, they couldn't talk. I think the first 3 years it was open, they weren't allowed to speak, and they had to wear a burlap mask over themselves. I think outside.
It's crazy. Yeah, they do a haunted house there too every year.
I bet it's creepy. That's where Al Capone spent, if I'm right.
He was at
the one nice cell with like all the furniture.
Yeah, it was a really cool place that we went to, and I was really glad. My mom told me and Michelle about that. We were in Philly. She goes, "You need to go to this Easton Penitentiary." I was like, "Huh?" Yeah. And then we looked it up, and we thought, "What the hell?" It was really neat.
The place I worked, like people don't go to, is the Seaport Museum, and one of the things that we have we have two things that's really cool. We have the oldest steel. It's called the Olympia. It's the oldest steel American warship. It's like still floating that you can go on. It's from the Spanish-American War, and it's really cool because it's like between steam and like it's the ship is built between like steam and wood. So like the inside like has like all this woodwork for like the captain's quarters. It's like beautiful like a wooden ship, and then the outside's metal like the Titanic style steamship. And it's like run by coal, like it has like a coal engine in the inside. Like they even have tours where you can go down into it's cool. I've done it, but if you're claustrophobic, don't go in there. It's like, I don't know how they worked in those things, but it's really neat too. And they have a World War II sub too right next to it that you can go in. But
have you been on the USS Constitution in Boston, Old Ironsides?
I have not. I've been next to it.
We got to go on it one time. We were there, and they had tours, and you got to actually walk on it and stuff. And it's Paul Revere. He did all the metal work on that. He was an interesting man. I'm surprised they haven't really come out with a big movie or docuseries on him yet.
I haven't been on that one, but we used to do a ships festival at the Seaport Museum where all those ships that could still like travel, they would come to the Seaport Museum, and like the Mystic in Connecticut has like an old whaler ship that still works, and you could go on all the ships. Like for the festival, you'd get to go on, like you'd pay your ticket and you could go on all these old ships that still worked.
I always tell people on here all the time, there's so many good parts about America that you've never seen. You need to get out and go see these places. There's so much history and cool things in our own country. And the pyramid in Memphis is one of them. You need to go see that. I mean, that.
Yep. And waterfowling is, like I said earlier, it is a very American history. We're the only people to do it the way we do it.
What is there a Titanic museum? I figure there is.
Because you're traveling.
There was. I don't know. I don't know that they had like a traveling exhibit at one point. Like we call them blockbusters, where they like, like the bodies thing.
Yeah.
They travel. King Tut's usually one of those. I know there was one that traveled. I don't know if there's a museum, but then I don't know if there's a museum.
There was a traveling one that was in Vegas. Because
travel one. Yeah, there's a travel one.
I just figure with the fever pitch that everybody loves the Titanic for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, there's one in Branson.
Oh, I thought that was the Ark. No, it was Ark.
No, that's in Kentucky.
Oh, that's in Kentucky.
It's in Branson. There's one in Branson. There's a Titanic deal because I've been to it.
Oh,
you can actually you can put your finger in water and it's as cold as it was at the Titanic. That's how much I liked it. I did do the bodies exhibit thing one time.
Yeah,
that was really interesting.
Yeah, and they're they've done so many of them now. Yeah, but they Pompeii's another one that they'll do. Like those are all like what we call blockbuster exhibits, and they're like those exhibits are like done by like not by a museum. Sometimes they're sponsored by a museum, but they're done outside of a museum, and then they work with museums and travel them around.
The first one of those, I was a kid, and David Schuessler could probably saw this also because you got to be an old man like one of us. Yeah. Anyways, they had a thing called the Freedom Train. And the Freedom Train went in 1976, and it was a train full of American nostalgia from the Revolutionary Wars to present time of 76. And I grew up in Wichita Falls, and they stopped at the Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, and all the elementary schools, we got to go watch them. And people came from all over, and it traveled all over the United States. And that's
like when I was a kid, it was the Wonders exhibits. Do you remember those? They came to the pyramid before it was Bass Pro Shops when I was a kid.
The Wonders is what it was called.
Yeah, it's called the Wonders exhibit.
I never heard it, but the Freedom Train, that's what it was, just American on our bicentennial of 200 years, and they took this train.
They're about to be 250.
Yep, that's how old I am.
This year, 250. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to see the 300 one, but I'll see the 250 one.
You never know.
Yeah, I do too.
Maybe they'll invent something that'll keep us alive.
Andy says it's coming, but 5
years from now,
I just can't imagine that.
So aside from the flag that you found, what's the one artifact that you've got to either hold or see in person that like took your breath away, made you step back and pause?
Let me think. I would say, so I spent a ton of time. I studied abroad my senior year, and then I got the lucky benefit of my mom came into her inheritance when I was in between undergrad and grad and had nowhere to go.
Nice.
So I went with her to Europe, and there's a couple paintings because I was an art history major. So there's a couple paintings that seeing in person that's like seeing celebrity. But when I saw Guernica, which is a Picasso painting, and I'm not a huge Picasso fan actually, which is surprising. It's in Madrid. It's huge. It's like the size of a wall. Like I think what got me is I'm not a big Picasso fan. Mm-hmm. So when I turned around the corner and it kind of like took my breath away, I was kind of surprised by it because I didn't expect, like, not to diss Picasso, like he's fine, like he's a great art, like he's like, I'm not saying that he's not a great artist, but because he is, but like it wasn't my thing. But when I went around that corner, it definitely, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like,
really? Because I'm looking at it on the computer here, and I think I feel like
it's
you.
Like crazy big in person. Yeah, no, I thought the same thing when I looked at it in our history class. I didn't think it was that impressive, but it's about a battle, about a war, and you really felt the emotion when you turned the corner in that thing. Like it feels very serious and kind of tragic.
I'm not a Picasso fan either, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, that's fine. Like, but I'm not. But I was shocked by that painting. I'd say the other one is. This is a weird one, but I'm a huge Thomas Hart Benton fan. He is a American painter. He did regionalism, which is like the other one people know of is Grant Wood. He did the picture with the old man with the pitchfork. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that guy. Well, Thomas Hart Benton is a regionalism. He's from Kansas City, Missouri, and I love him. He's one of my favorite painters, and I just kind of love that era of painting too. That like Depression era, a little before that, like very Americana stuff. And in the State House in Missouri, in Jefferson, he did the murals in there, and that was probably one of my favorite places too. Because if you're a Thomas Hart Benton fan, that's like the place to go.
That's the place to go.
He did the whole entryway of he does these huge murals, and he did the whole entryway of the state capitol at.
Okay, I want you to explain something to me about Thomas Hart Benton, because I've seen this one photo many times. The Again.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking about? Again? It's the one where Jesus is on the cross and the Nazis are shooting.
I don't know that one very well. That's not a very typical Thomas Hart Benton.
Because I don't understand that painting, what it's about. It shows the Messerschmitts or the whatever it is, the German is shooting Jesus in the stomach or chest.
That's very untypical Thomas Hart Benton.
Okay.
Thomas Hart Benton's photo, most of his paintings are of, so they're regionalist paintings. So they're mostly about like Missouri, and during the Depression. So it's about, steel workers. It's a lot of farming stuff, a lot of like everyday man paintings. That's what mostly regionalism is. And he tends to cartoon. He kind of like over exaggerates his figures.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
they tend to be kind of muscly. Yeah. And but he's trying to romanticize the like everyday man and their struggle is kind of usually regionalism. And they're all regionalists are usually like, they're called regionalists because they paint the region where they are. And his are all mostly of Missouri. But that's a weird one. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably because I didn't care about that one. So I didn't think about it as much. But yeah, because
that painting reminds me of the ones that's in the Denver International Airport. They've got all the Nazis and all the babies, dead babies and stuff. And I'm like, where in the hell does that come in an airport at?
Yeah, I know. And the fun thing about Thomas Hart Benton, and he wasn't like a nice guy, really. Like that's not what he's known for. But he also was Jackson Pollock's teacher.
Okay,
which is weird. Yeah, if you look at really, really early Jackson Pollock stuff before he starts doing paint splatter, you'll see.
Who was the other guy that you said you liked?
Not Picasso.
No.
Oh, Grant Wood, that guy, the other regionalist.
Yeah, Grant Wood.
Well, there's a bunch of them. So there's Grant Wood, there's Thomas Hart Benton, even Edward Hopper. He's one that's in there, but they're all regionalist paintings.
Yeah, Grant Wood did the American Gothic, which is one of the most famous paintings of all time.
You see it redone a million times.
It's on commercials. It's everywhere.
I know, like they did it with the Muppets. Like you see Kermit and Miss Piggy doing it.
I bet he died. I bet he died broke.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Thomas Hart Benton is interesting too because of all of those. His family were all like state senators and stuff.
Yeah, he was a wealthy kid.
Like, yeah, he was like they were all like the stump kind of senators, like they stand on stumps and stuff. Like goes way back. No.
Yeah, he died of pancreatic cancer. The guy that did the American Gothic.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right
most
now.
of them were pretty depressed because they were Depression era artists.
That's the crazy thing, like the amount of depression that is in artists. And that can be, songwriters, poetry writers, painters. Like they're just down in the dumps all the time.
And you should never.
Well, I think it's because they have they are big feeling people. Like they have all this emotion they have to express. So
I had to take art appreciation in college.
Yeah.
And I was awful damn depressed in that class. I'm telling you right now. For someone that did not like art, I was not a. It was a long hour twice a week.
But you get to sit in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely the best.
You didn't really have to pay that much attention. It's fine.
Well, I did because I didn't know a damn. I mean, the professor did not like me anyways.
Go figure.
At all. And
good at memorizing.
we that's what it was, and we had to go to a couple of art exhibits, and it was torture for me. It really was, and I like the American Gothic. I can see that. I like that, but two vegetables strewn together. Andy Warhol to me is not an artist.
Well, okay, I disagree, but he has, but he has some stuff. But yes, I understand why people say that. But then, speaking of, Tim Peterson has like these Western portraits he did of John Wayne and in his office that are, I mean, they're cool.
And who
he
done
did
them?
all these portraits? Tim, the guy who owns the Canada Goose Collection.
No. Who done them though? Andy Warhol done them?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
I've
awesome.
got to look this up now because all I know is Andy Warhol doing Brillo pads and stuff, taking pictures of stuff and calling
Campbell.
it.
No, he did.
Yeah,
he did
Campbell's.
he's famous for the Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, that is one of his. That I can go with that. But
yeah,
I'm
so
just,
he did some cowboys and Native Americans too, that
But-
in the same style that are cool.
But a painting of a
soup's
Campbell's tomato soup is not art to me. This is the conversation me and my professor in an art appreciation class had when he told me that Terry Redlin was really not an artist. And I was
So
like,
that's funny. And you should listen to some of my interviews with like Adam Grimm and stuff. All those guys, yeah, they did not do well in art school. Like they were like they all kind of they did not do well in art school.
Adam
Like,
Grimm.
Yeah. The guy who just won the duck stamp.
Yeah, I just talked to him at Oklahoma. We're going to have him on later this month.
He's great.
His daughter is absolutely phenomenal artist too. The little 6-year-old girl that did the state duck stamp.
She's going to be, I think she's 18 this year. I think she competes
Oh.
like coming weeks in the federal.
He's a very, very nice man. Great, beautiful family, good people. But yeah, he's got a print that I like that I want, and I gave Michelle some Christmas hints that I want. And it's an old timey duck hunter, probably from the 20s or 30s, and he's in a Pirogue boat or a boat, and he's got all his hat and his. He just looks like a gentleman hunter from the 20s and 30s, and I love that art. But he's a really neat guy. So he didn't do good in art class either.
No, they
That makes
hated
me
him. All those guys. That's kind of pretty consistent in these wildlife artists, like that they didn't do well in art school, or the teachers didn't like kind of what they were going for.
Why do you think that is?
It's because
They have talent.
This is so controversial, but like it's because they're doing realism, like, and in art school, I think what art teachers are trying, I mean, I don't know if they're anti-realism, but I think what they're trying to get you to do is paint from more of an expression point of view.
Right.
To break, I think what they try to do is break you from realism and then let you go back to, I mean, if that's me being generous, like, I mean, sure, if some of these guys weren't like that, they probably don't appreciate it. But I think a good art teacher is probably trying to break you of realism to get to the expressionist part. So then you can go, you've explored that area, then you go back to help you grow.
That makes sense.
Basically. I think that's the generous point of view. I'm sure some of them, though, just don't like it.
Just a jerk.
As well. Yeah, they're just jerks.
Well, that makes a lot of sense too, because when you're in this scenario, like I think that's kind of a teacher's job is to get you to grow. You know what I mean? And if you're good at realism, like, well, let's try to develop this other side of you for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I
you
think
can always come back to this if that part doesn't work out.
Yeah. And it should make you better at the other part. Like
Right.
in the end. Like, yeah. It should bring something to your other stuff as well.
Well, like Adam's a great artist. I mean,
he's
the ducks and stuff is amazing. Excuse me. Terry Redlin was not great with ducks and geese, but it was the backdrop and the story it told of everything he said.
Yeah.
Yes, Thomas Kincaid. He paints a picture of what America should be like. Beautiful little Norman Rockwell type life. You know,
Right. But there's a lot of in that, which makes it controversial, is though they're painting to an audience. Like,
Yes.
and which is fair, because they need to make a living. So like it's fair to do that, but like a lot of that criticism comes from like, well, where's the real you? Are you doing this for your audience, or are you doing this because that's your art?
Well, if I was Terry Redlin, I'd say I'm doing it for my bank account.
Yeah.
What's the
I'm hungry.
That's perfectly fine. Like that's not that. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the criticism there.
I see. Like Terry Redlin's got a series that he does, and I've got one of them, and I can't remember the name of it, but it shows a little boy with a yellow lab puppy. The kid's 7, 8 years old, and he's got this yellow lab puppy. And then it shows him going off to school, and the bus is there, and he's going to junior high, I guess, and the dog's older waiting on him. And then it shows him coming home with a girl in a car, and the dog's on the porch happy to see him. And then it shows him going off to college and coming home, and the dog's got a cross in the yard where the dog passed away. Well, it chokes me up still because I'm getting old and I'm sentimental and I'm old at taggings, and that's what we do. But the whole painting tells me a story the whole time. That's what I want to see out of art. I don't want to see a Campbell soup can. Somebody else wants to look at a Campbell soup can, that's their deal. But I like that kind of art. And it's always funny that guys like that get ripped on. What's the guy's name that had the terrible haircut they just did a movie about him that used to paint on like PBS?
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
Don't talk bad about Bob Ross. What are you about to say? Be careful here.
I like Bob Ross. I would watch that because it was interesting to see a guy paint the way he would. It was just
we still watch Bob Ross.
He was a genius. He was an amazing artist.
Too, by the way.
What's that?
What he's doing is different. Like he's making money, but his whole point is that anybody can paint.
No, I can't.
So he's teaching people at a like in a simplified way. That's why I don't think anyone's giving him crap that he's a bad painter because of, I think they shouldn't be judging him by what he's doing for the TV, because he's simplifying it down for his audience.
I'd like to have a Bob Ross painting. I think he's
cool.
Good
luck.
I bet they are. But
I think he died broke too. Well, he got ripped off.
He got ripped off. Yeah, like he got ripped off. He shouldn't have been broke.
No.
But, yeah.
So did you watch that documentary?
Yeah, it's great. It's a really.
The funny part is the reason he puts that big tree at the very end is to screw with the producers. Because they'd be like, all right, Bob, we got 90 seconds. And he's like, all right, well, now it's time to put a big, beautiful tree right here. And they're like just pulling their hair out like, is he going to get this done before we got to go off the air?
So there were actually people at home sitting trying to paint along with him while he did this?
Of course.
I did not know that. I used to watch it because I enjoyed watching him do it.
He created all these classes, and like he has like a studio and stuff that people can come in and take Bob Ross in person type classes.
I need to watch that show on him, but I used to watch it on PBS because we didn't have 4 channels and PBS was on, and Bob Ross was better than 99% of stuff on
relaxing.
TV.
Yeah, the way he talks and everything. They think the paint is what killed him. The way that he would clean his brush, they think that the paint fumes and probably him smoking.
Because he used a ton of oh gosh, I just blanked. Like turpentine and stuff. Yeah, he used like.
Was he a chain smoker also?
I think he smoked a lot. I think
a little bit of everything.
I think I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well,
but I think
turpentine now, like they have like turpentine that's like healthy for you. Like they redid turpentine.
Healthy turpentine.
Healthy turpentine.
Turpentine.
But they had, because he had to use really thin paint to quit paint so fast.
Right.
Because it had to dry really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, adding all the paint, if it wasn't dry, it'd smudge. Right.
Yeah, and you just can't. Yeah, it just would muddy. It would, like when you take markers and you color on top of each other, everything always turns brown. That's what we call muddying. It would just muddy, and
he was a very talented artist, and he could do stuff. Yeah. I think the problem is people like him don't realize that people like me that have no artistic ability at all, I'm not going to get it. And I think that's this paint by the numbers or the wine where the ladies have wine, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. They have these classes everywhere.
Well, I think everybody that's good at something, like I coach like kids. I'm a big runner, so I coach cross country and stuff for little kids. And I was thinking this the other day, I was running with some kids and I was like, okay, just do an easy jog. And the kid looked at me and goes, it's not easy. Why do you keep saying it's easy? And I was like, oh yeah, because I think, okay, there's an easy way of run. There's like an easier run and a harder run, but not this kid's like, it's all hard.
It all sucks.
See, well, if you're good at something, you're right. I don't understand how people can't talk to people because I'm not socially awkward, so I can visit. So when people that can, I'm like, what's so fucking hard about going up and talking to someone? It's not hard. But as an artist, I could sit in a class all day. You could give me 12 bottles of wine and do the fall of the tea, and I still couldn't do it because I don't have any of that ability.
Right. Yeah.
But
no, I get that.
But
Yeah,
Bob was a really neat dude, and I enjoyed watching his show. But I'm sure he got criticized by everybody else because he was making money at it. And
No, he wasn't making money. Was the thing?
Oh, he wasn't.
No, and he was doing something simplified. Yeah, like, but he was doing something commercial, and like you talking about, go back to Terry Redlin. Like, look, Terry Redlin is obviously. I'm not saying anything bad about Terry Redlin. He was very talented. I mean, the way he did light was pretty incredible. He figured out something that a lot of people don't know how to do. To interpret light and like in sunsets and dawn, which is one of the more difficult things to do when painting. But the criticism, I guess, is always and it's always gonna be this way. Like, it's stupid. Like, people have to make money. Like, that's part of it. And whenever someone finds a market and takes advantage of it, there's always going to be someone to criticize that.
Right.
Does it mean it's right? No, it doesn't mean it's right. But that's always going to happen.
Yeah, people think you should be doing it for the love of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
not to make.
But that's not realistic.
No.
Yeah, that's stupid. So
bills don't care about your hopes and dreams. They care about
That's why then, if that's what you want, you get another job and you paint on the side for fun. That's what hobbies are for.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime somebody turns a hobby into a profession, it's open to criticism.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like golfers. Everybody bashes on golfers. Oh.
Here's a Bob Ross for 10 grand and saw one for 130,000.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're expensive. After we watched that documentary, I was like, oh, look at some Bob Ross paintings. No, I quickly exited out of that Google search because I realized it's never going to happen in my life.
People are
I wonder what they did with all those paintings.
They're selling them.
Everybody's
selling them. Did they keep? I wonder if I wonder when they were like, hey, we should probably start keeping. There was definitely a period of time they were like just throwing them away.
That was exactly right.
That goes back to what I said earlier. All the artifacts we have, think about all the artifacts that we've lost.
Oh, yeah. So many.
So you're a runner? How far are you running?
I do ultra races.
How far are those?
Over a marathon.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, how far is over a marathon? Like 2 miles, 20 miles?
A marathon is 26.2.
Right.
No, but how far over a marathon?
Oh. So I would do the first race after a marathon is a 50K, which is 31. They're all trail, like all ultra are in the woods. Yeah, they're like trail races.
Oof.
So you run around the woods for hours.
Well, if you're running 30 miles.
It's a weird hobby.
When does the runner's high? Because I was talking to this with my wife. I don't have the runner's gene. I don't. When does the runner's high kick in? What mile marker?
It's after.
Oh,
not during. Yeah, no, it sucks. Like, I had a friend who ran like a marathon recently, and she was like, "It just wasn't any fun." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Of course it wasn't fun. It's a marathon. Who told you it was going to be fun? Like, it's torture." But it's after. Yeah, after you feel like it's the sense of accomplishment.
Okay.
I got this.
That makes more
this
sense.
This after marathon or whatever you call this, over marathon. So at 26.5 miles, that's not enough torture that, you know what, let's do another 5 miles and then we'll really get a high off this.
No, when you go to ultra marathons, you're more dealing with like, I mean, this is definitely like a mental thing. Like, you're dealing with people in like kicking demons and stuff here. Like, it's not, you're not doing it for the runner's high anymore. You're doing it to prove to yourself that you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
like definitely.
To train for a 50K, how far do you have to run to be able to survive a 50K?
You can train it's the same as a marathon. Like, you don't have to train over anymore. My longest run for a 50K would be like 20.
Okay.
20. Like, it's more about like time on feet.
What's a 20-mile run take you?
So if I'm on the road, a 20-mile run can be like 3 to 3.5.
Gosh.
But if I'm on the trail, who knows? It depends on the trail.
So
the trail, changes things.
You just take off from your house and say, kids, I'll be home in 3.5 hours. Put on Titanic and some other really long movie, and Mom will be back later.
Well, they have a dad.
Yeah, right.
Hang out with him.
Okay, I wouldn't try to
Parent too.
I wasn't trying to make you a bad parent here. I'm just trying to get this time frame put in. So
Sorry, kids. Mom's not going to be here when you wake up. You know, I got to go run a marathon. She's got a husband.
So, yeah, but I'm usually not there like on the Saturday. So Saturday I go do my long run and I run with like I usually have a friend or somebody that I can run with. And like I get up and I'm gone before they wake up. Like I run early because it's hot in Memphis.
Right.
So I go and like I come home and one of the things like I'll walk in and my kids will like, hey mom, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be like, go to hug me and they're like, are you sweaty?
I am.
I just ran
And I'm like,
26
yes.
miles. So
Yeah.
do y'all
She's like,
talk?
yeah, I'm like, yes.
Do you
And they're
talk
like,
while you're
"Okay," and I
running?
won't- What?
So your friend runs with you. Are y'all talking?
I have a few friends. Oh yeah.
Y'all
That's
can
like-
actually at 20
whole
mile
point.
mark, you're still talking.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell no.
when they
The whole
get
point we do it.
it's when
Like,
they
we
get
just
deep
hang-
into the conversations, the further they run.
I'd be like, shut up. I'm trying to
and
concentrate on not
runners
dying.
are like, runners are notorious oversharers. Like
Oversharers.
I get
we
that.
talk about way too much. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what else are you gonna do?
Well, it's like I do jujitsu, so
Yeah.
same type thing. Like you got all these feel good chemicals coating your
Yeah.
brain, and like you just start talking. Same thing.
Just start.
It's the
And
same
like that's
thing.
the best part about ultra races is these trail races is like you're out there for so long. You'll make like I'll run with one guy or somebody for like an hour and then we'll split up because we're running different paces and then I'll pick up with someone new and I'll learn about their life for an hour and then you just keep meeting people and runners are nice for the I mean you have to be nice to torture yourself for that long like it's not you don't get mean people that do that.
No. I've every Saturday we've been doing 800s. My whole family. We wake up and that's what we run. We run 800s. That is torturous because
I'd rather run 20 miles slow than do 800s.
yeah. So we do a couple 800s and it's a pretty quick pace. It's just as fast as you can do it, and it is torture because you can't sprint it all. But if you're doing it if you got like a time in mind, you can't jog it
sprint it
either. So, I mean, it's just kind of this perfect little concoction of just torture. My kids hate it, but that's why we do it.
Yeah. The 800 is by far the worst event on the track. Like easy. Like I ran track and stuff and like all as a kid. I guess I started running when I was like in the 6th grade. And I ran track and the 800 is by far the most torture.
Yeah, because there's no good way to do it.
There was like, oh, you don't have to run at full speed. It was like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, if you're gonna win, you gotta kind of pick up the pace.
Yeah, no, it's torture.
Yeah. So, listen, we've got a long way off of
Yeah,
museums,
we've really diverted.
but
We do that a bunch on our stuff.
that's why this is always fun to do. Figure out a lot about people. Amazing job. We'll start closing here because it's been over an hour and a half, and I know you got things to do. You did an amazing job. The Canada Goose Museum. Anybody that's in the Memphis area definitely needs to go check it out. My hat is off to you for knocking this out of the park. It really is a spectacle.
Thank you. Yeah, and if anyone wants to come, you can find me through DU, but let me know if you're coming, and I'm happy to show you around, give you a tour.
Perfect. Well, listen, be safe out there. Enjoy. When's your next marathon, ultra marathon?
I have a big one in December, but I have a couple leading up to that in October.
Are you one of those crazy people that runs after Thanksgiving? Like Thanksgiving morning, you're out there running?
Yeah, we do that as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we do it before we eat. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Right.
We can't do it after because you got to do it before we eat, and then we have Thanksgiving, and then we got to get a duck camp because season opens the next day for us.
That is a packed
It's
Thanksgiving
a busy
day.
Thanksgiving weekend. Kay, we appreciate you being on
Thank you
here.
very
Thank you
much.
so much. You work for a class act organization. Y'all got so many interesting parts there, and you're not the first one that's going to be on from Ducks. We're going to have some more of the people on there. Y'all got a great team there. Thank you. God bless you, young lady. Have a great week.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That's an interesting job.
It really is. If you're into history, like that's got to be just right up your alley.
Oh man, I wish I had a job like that. That would be so cool.
Just all the different
I would love that.
different artifacts you get to come across.
And get to go see stuff. That would be a cool deal. And working for Ducks Limited would be a dream come true.
Yeah, if you're a waterfowler.
Yep. And some of the people work there aren't even waterfowl hunters. Just a good place to work. All right.
Tough guy. You ready to go, Mr. Blue Belt?
Bob Ross died of lymphoma. He was a longtime cigarette smoker, although his kids blame, like we were talking about with Katie, the way he cleaned his brush. They think the fumes might have had something to do with it. But anyway, that's another good documentary that people need to go check out.
I'm going to have to watch it.
I can't remember what it was on. I think it might have been on Prime.
It's on Netflix, I think. It might have been on Prime.
Maybe it was. I don't know. Yep. If you're in Memphis, go to the Pyramid. Check out the Canada Goose Museum. It's pretty cool. Step back in time. Awesome stuff.
Or go to the Ducks Unlimited headquarters,
Yep.
and Corey Lucas has got his duck display up there and be there forever.
All 41.
Be there a long, long time after we're all gone from here. Thank you. God bless y'all. Have a great week, my friends. Bye.
Love you. Bye.